Hello, and thank you for joining me for Week 4, Video Lecture 4A. We will be covering Chapter 1, which is Safe, pages 22 through 38. Hi, I'm Maria Rutherford, your Associate Professor for Early Childhood Education here at Bluegrass Community and Technical College. And I would like to thank you for joining me today in talking about SAFE. Let's talk about what your homework assignment is going to be this week. Your homework will be for Week 4 is to read Chapter 1, pages 22 through 38. Next, you will listen to Lecture 4A, which you are right now. Lecture 4A will have two parts. Part 1, which is what you're listening to now, and Part 2. So make sure you don't forget Part 2. Next, I would like for you to schedule a 2-hour observation this week at a center. Now remember, last week we did 2 hours in observation as well. So now you should completed a total of 4 hours of your 20 hours that is required for this class. I would also like for you to actually schedule an appointment with the director and ask maybe if you could witness a fire drill, tornado drill, or an earthquake drill, if at all possible this week, as it is part of what I want you to observe. If that's not possible with the director, that's okay. Just thank her or him for their time. And ask maybe in the future when a tornado or a fire drill or earthquake happens that you can watch that. It would be very, very helpful in your learning. After you complete your observation, you will complete observation 4B. But I would suggest that you print the questions off before you go to your 2-hour observation, because you will be answering those questions just like you did last week based upon your observation. So you'll know what to look for, basically, okay? So have fun in your learning this week, because you should learn a whole lot about safety. You are going to be teaching children about safety every day, every moment, and we call those moments teachable moments. It's very exciting as a teacher to be able to do things that are going to make positive impacts on children's lives. So let's turn to page 22. Your book does a very good job in thinking about teaching children about safety. It gives you some safety rules, as a matter of fact, to think about when you are setting things up. And in early childhood education, we call rules limits. L-I-M-I-T-S, limits. And we say that we want to have a positive guidance limits. Positive guidance meaning that you are using positive words to create your rules. For instance, when we see a child running down a hallway or in our classroom, our impulse jumps in and says, "Stop running." But in early childhood, we want to turn that negative picture that we're just giving to that child's brain into a very positive picture so that they can learn what's appropriate and not appropriate. So we would say to that child, by using positive guidance, we need to use our walking feet inside, please. And instead of saying, "Stop hitting your friend," we would say, "We need you to be kind to your friend," or "We need you to be kind to one another." Figure 6 on page 22 gives you some tips for establishing those safety rules with children. So let's take some time and look at those. You know, children's limits need to be very specific to them. And they need to be positive, number one, but they need to be short so that they can speak their own language. Now, also, in thinking about their own language, the limits need to not only be in English and provided with a picture to give the child a sense of reading, per se, but they need to be also in the child's home language. So you as a teacher need to know what that child's home language is. Is it Spanish? Is it German? Is it Mandarin Chinese? Whatever that language is, make sure that their limits are written in that language as well. Let the children practice their rules. Let them participate in making their rules. This is very important that they understand that rules keep them safe and that they're there to protect them at all cost. When you are discussing classroom rules, use those teachable moments in everyday conversations. Page 23 gives you some very good examples of what teachable moments are. So in your everyday conversations, you can talk about pedestrian safety or how to ride your toys correctly and how to buckle up in the car and on the bus and why the policeman wants us to do that. Because children need to understand that it's not just mommy and daddy or the quote teacher making these rules, but there are people that are in place in our society, such as policemen, who are not mean, but they have to enforce what the law says to keep us safe. And then you need to talk about fire safety, burn safety, water safety, and especially stranger safety. It is extremely important that you talk about these things. It is also extremely important that you model safe practices in your classroom as a teacher. You know, making sure that you are in total supervision of those children, not only because the Kentucky regulations tell you that, but because you're a role model. You are a role model as a teacher. And when you establish the fact with a child that you are in charge of your classroom, that you are there to watch them, you're there to keep them safe, you are actually creating the image of what a teacher is. And also, and an example of that would be if a child wants you to move out of the classroom to take their, quote, jacket down the hallway to hang up on a hanger, or to take them by themselves to the water fountain, then you need to say, but why do we leave all of our other friends? We can't do that. We have to keep everybody safe. Working on safety topics in your conversations is extremely important. Practicing and enforcing safety rules in your classroom. Not only expecting the children to do it, but expecting yourself to do it as well. Practicing and enforcing safety rules as a teacher, in a classroom, in a center. That is extremely important. Teaching and practicing safety emergency drills is very, very important. We have to teach children how to react in an emergency situation. So therefore, we have to practice those tornado drills, those earthquake drills, those fire drills that are required on a monthly or a quarterly basis by licensure law. And first aid and CPR training is extremely important for children to understand that you have gone to a length, that you care about them, and when they get hurt, that you want to make sure they're okay. I would take advantage of when you go to put a Band-Aid on a child, that you are washing that with soap and water, which licensure says you can do, and being gentle and having empathy with them and putting the Band-Aid on there and telling them that you learned that in a class because you love them so much that you want to take care of them. Modeling safe practices also has to do with knowing signs of abuse and trauma. And that's why Kentucky has put into practice that you have to have that head trauma training as well. and that you need to have orientation 1 and 2 so that you will know the signs of abuse and neglect, and being the advocate for the children so that you know and practice. Excuse me, where are we? Here we are. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. But that you're modeling safe practices in front of them, and that you know those signs of abuse and trauma. But also, teaching safety is about problem solving all in itself as well. And that is that when you have a situation in a classroom that is unsafe, that you problem solve and fix it immediately. That is part of your job as a teacher. This is the end of part 1 of lecture 4A. Thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed listening.